Delve into the captivating saga of King Tutankhamun's death as new theories challenge long-standing beliefs. From forensic investigations to DNA revelations, witness how modern science unveils a startling twist in the young pharaoh's fate. Discover the latest insights that may forever change the narrative surrounding one of ancient Egypt's most enigmatic rulers. Unraveling the mysteries of King Tutankhamun's untimely demise, shocking theories revealed. Born during a time of religious and political turmoil, King Tutankhamun was initially named Tutankhamun, reflecting his father Akhenaten's dedication to the god Aten. Tut's birth was a result of pharaonic incestuous practices, as his mother was also the sister of his father. This incest had profound effects on his health and physical abilities. Geneticist Karsten Pusch emphasized in an interview with National Geographic in 2010 Tutankhamun's physical limitations, noting that he was not the archetypal strong, chariot-driving pharaoh of Egyptian tradition. These insights into Tutankhamun's health problems shed light on the realities of royal incest and its impact on individual rulers. Pusch's analysis of Tutankhamun's condition revealed more than just his inability to drive a chariot. The young pharaoh suffered from a clubfoot and needed a cane to walk, highlighting his significant physical limitations. His genetic lineage, shaped by incest, was a crucial factor in these health issues. This genetic susceptibility not only impaired his physical abilities but likely also affected his immune system and overall health, a common consequence of closely interlinked genetic pools. Despite these challenges, Tutankhamun ascended the throne of Egypt at the tender age of 9. His reign began in a time of turmoil, a legacy of his father Akhenaten's controversial rule. Akhenaten had upended centuries-old religious traditions by enforcing monotheism and the worship of only the sun god Aten. This drastic change had caused significant unrest and dissatisfaction among the Egyptian population, setting the stage for Tutankhamun's complex and challenging reign. Tutankhamun's accession marked a crucial return to traditional Egyptian religious practices. He rejected his father's monotheistic Atenism and returned to the worship of multiple gods, aligning himself with the religious sentiments of his people. This significant change involved renaming himself from Tutankhamun to Tutankhamun, symbolically distancing himself from his father's legacy and restoring the connection to the traditional pantheon of Egyptian deities. Tutankhamun's reign involved significant efforts to correct the mistakes of his father's rule. Akhenaten had left Egypt in a precarious state, both economically and in its foreign relations. The young King Tutankhamun thus faced the daunting task of rebuilding these aspects of his kingdom. He had to navigate the complex landscape of international diplomacy and economic recovery, all in his early teenage years, a testament to the resilience and adaptability demanded of a young ruler in antiquity. Clues suggest that Tutankhamun's efforts to restore and strengthen Egypt's international relations bore fruit. Valuable gifts from other kingdoms found in his tomb point to successful diplomatic efforts. However, his reign was not without conflict. Records from his mortuary temple in Thebes mention battles with Asiatics and Nubians, highlighting the ongoing challenges he faced in maintaining stability and asserting Egypt's power in the region. To further solidify his reign and distance himself from his father's government, Tutankhamun restored Thebes as Egypt's capital, leaving his father's city, Amarna. He even moved his father's remains to the Valley of the Kings, a symbolic gesture underscoring his commitment to traditional royal burial practices and further legitimizing his rule. These decisions were crucial in restoring traditional religious and political norms and strengthening Tutankhamun's authority and leadership. Unlike many ancient Egyptian kings who were revered posthumously, Tutankhamun was celebrated during his lifetime. Temples were erected in remote regions for people to worship the king and seek forgiveness, a testament to his widespread popularity and the devotion he inspired in his subjects. This type of worship during a pharaoh's lifetime was rare and reflects the unique connection Tutankhamun had with his people, transcending the typical boundaries of royal reverence. Despite his popularity, Tutankhamun's reign was tragically short-lived, ending before he reached his second decade. Standing at only 1.68 meters tall and often depicted in historical representations as unusually formed, experts have speculated about various health problems and genetic disorders that might have plagued him. These health challenges, possibly exacerbated by his familial incest, overshadowed his reign and contributed to his premature death. The size of Tutankhamun's final resting place, unusually small for a pharaoh, suggests that his death was unexpected and premature. Pharaohs were typically buried in grand and elaborately prepared tombs, but Tutankhamun's modest burial site indicates a hasty preparation, possibly due to the suddenness of his death. These circumstances reflect the unexpected nature of his passing and the resulting need to find an immediate burial solution. The time constraints of ancient Egyptian burial customs, mandating a 70-day period between death and burial, left no time to construct a tomb suitable for Tutankhamun's rank. Thus, he was likely interred in a tomb originally intended for a less prominent figure. This situation highlights the unexpected nature of his death and the challenges it presented for his burial. Despite his revered status in life, discussions surrounding his death and the subsequent focus on his tomb often overshadowed his achievements and contributions as a pharaoh. Over the centuries, the location of King Tutankhamun's tomb gradually became lost to the sands of time. With the burial of other prominent ancient Egyptian figures over the years, their tombs began to surround and overshadow that of Tutankhamun. Debris and natural changes in the landscape eventually buried his resting place, making it practically invisible. With time, the area above the tomb became so indistinguishable that workers unknowingly built their residential quarters directly over the entrance to the tomb. This inadvertent covering made the task of future archaeologists incredibly challenging, as they had to navigate through layers of accumulated history and development to discover this ancient treasure. For centuries, King Tutankhamun remained a forgotten figure in history, his existence and legacy obscured by the passage of time. The gradual disappearance of his tomb was a significant factor in his disappearance from historical records and the public memory. After his death, no new records or reports about King Tut were produced, leading to his fading into obscurity. Nevertheless, there were those fascinated by the young pharaoh and determined to discover his final resting place, including the British archaeologist Howard Carter, who eventually excavated the tomb and brought Tutankhamun's story back to life. Howard Carter's passion for Egyptian history and archaeology was ignited in his childhood during visits to Didlington Hall in the small town of Swaffham, Norfolk. The estate, owned by a family member, housed a fascinating collection of Egyptian antiquities. Young Carter was deeply influenced by these artifacts, sparking a lifelong fascination with the ancient civilization of Egypt. This early exposure played a crucial role in shaping Carter's future career path and led him to become one of the most prominent Egyptologists of his time. By 1914, Carter had an ideal role in archaeology. He led an excavation in the Valley of the Kings in Egypt, renowned for its royal tombs. However, the outbreak of World War I temporarily diverted his career, as he was deployed as a government courier and translator, It was not until 1917 that Carter could return to Egypt and resume his archaeological endeavors, resuming his search for the secrets buried in the ancient valley. By 1922, Lord Carnarvon, Carter's financier, became impatient. Dissatisfied with the lack of significant finds, Carnarvon informed Carter that the upcoming season was his last chance to discover something remarkable, or else the excavation's funding would be terminated, With this ultimatum in mind, Carter returned to the Valley of the Kings, determined to revisit a previously explored but overlooked site, a series of unassuming huts. Under Carter's leadership, the excavation led to a crucial discovery. As his team methodically dismantled the huts and cleared the debris beneath, a seemingly insignificant incident occurred. A water carrier stumbled upon a stone, however, this stone marked the top of a staircase buried under the sand. Carter recognized the potential significance of this finding and immediately began to excavate the stairs, eager to uncover what lay beneath. Carter's patience and meticulous approach to the excavation culminated in a significant discovery. After a door at the end of the stairs was uncovered, Carter carefully planned the opening of the tomb. He waited 2.5 weeks to ensure that his patron, Lord Carnarvon, was present before making the first breakthrough. As Carter chipped away a corner of the sealed door and peered into the darkness, the eager Carnarvon asked if Carter could see anything. Carter's response, "Yes, wonderful things," as reported in the book Howard Carter Before Tutankhamun in 1992, has since become an iconic moment in the history of archaeology. The first glimpse into King Tutankhamun's tomb was just the beginning of a 10-year journey to catalog the vast array of treasures within. Carter and his team unearthed an astonishing collection, including multiple thrones, bows, food, wine, a lotus chalice, trumpets, sandals, and even linen undergarments, The tomb was a time capsule of ancient Egyptian royal life, offering unparalleled insights into the material culture and artistic achievements of the era. At the heart of Tutankhamun's tomb lay the most breathtaking discoveries. The king's sarcophagus, hidden in a stone casing, housed 3 nested coffins. The final coffin, exquisitely crafted from pure gold, contained the mummy of the young pharaoh, The opening of this innermost coffin unveiled Tutankhamun's remains, astonishingly well preserved for over 3,000 years, providing invaluable insights into ancient Egypt's burial practices and mummification techniques. Tutankhamun's mummy was adorned with a stunning array of jewelry and ornaments, including rings, bracelets, and collars. Among these treasures, the most famous was the 10 kilograms golden mask encrusted with gemstones, fashioned in the likeness of Osiris, the Egyptian god of the afterlife. This mask, with its exquisite craftsmanship and impressive appearance, quickly became one of the most renowned and celebrated artifacts of ancient Egyptian art, symbolizing the splendor and mystery of Tutankhamun's legacy. The discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb captured worldwide attention, not only for its historical and archaeological significance but also due to rumors of a curse. Tabloid speculation and public interest in the idea of a pharaoh's curse added a layer of intrigue and mystery to the story. This myth suggested that those who entered the tomb would suffer premature deaths, a narrative that gained momentum with each unexplained or coincidental death associated with the tomb's discovery. The death of Lord Carnarvon, occurring just 5 months after the tomb's discovery, fueled rumors of a curse. However, a broader perspective reveals that out of the 58 people present during the opening of the tomb and sarcophagus, only 8 died within the following 12 years. This statistic challenges the sensationalized notion of a deadly curse and suggests that the deaths were more likely coincidental than the result of supernatural forces. King Tutankhamun's story, from his obscure reign to the dramatic discovery of his tomb, has captivated audiences for decades. The excavation led by Howard Carter and funded by Lord Carnarvon revealed a treasure trove that offered invaluable insights into ancient Egyptian civilization and burial practices. The fascination with King Tutankhamun in modern times largely stems from his extravagant burial site and the stunning artifacts discovered within it. These treasures, displayed in global exhibitions, have captivated audiences worldwide and brought ancient history to life. Yet, despite the wealth of artifacts and detailed examination of his tomb, the circumstances surrounding Tutankhamun's death remained a mystery for decades, This unanswered question of how the young pharaoh met his end has sparked various theories and debates among historians and Egyptologists, making Tutankhamun's story not just a tale of ancient grandeur but also a captivating historical puzzle. The lack of concrete historical records about Tutankhamun's death has left room for much speculation and theorizing. Initially, many experts believed malaria could have been the cause of death, given the prevalence of the disease in ancient Egypt, however, curiosity grew with the revelation of an X-ray from the 1960s showing bone fragments in Tutankhamun's skull. This finding led to a sensational theory that the young king might have been murdered, possibly by a blow to the head, adding a layer of potential intrigue and crime to his story. The murder theory began to unravel as scientists re-examined the process of discovering and unwrapping Tutankhamun's mummy. They concluded that the intracranial bone fragments seen in the X-ray were likely moved during the mummy's excavation and unwrapping and did not serve as evidence of a violent death, This revised view was further supported by the lack of embalming fluid on the bone fragments, indicating that they were shifted after mummification, likely during the unwrapping process by Carter. In 2013, a new hypothesis emerged suggesting that Tutankhamun might have died in a chariot accident, consistent with the physical injuries on his mummified body, This theory proposed that the young, physically fragile pharaoh suffered injuries possibly resulting from a violent chariot mishap, including missing parts of his chest wall and ribs. This theory seemed to align with Tutankhamun's known physical limitations and the nature of his injuries. Further examination of this chariot accident theory raised doubts. Photographs of Carter's discovery of the body in 1926 showed Tutankhamun's chest wall intact, contradicting the idea that it could have been crushed in an accident, By 1968, the sternum and pearl-encrusted collar originally found on the body were missing, suggesting that these parts were removed or stolen sometime after the initial discovery, rather than being the result of an ancient injury. This realization suggested theft rather than an accident. Between 1926 and 1968, parts of Tutankhamun's chest as well as the bejeweled accessory he was adorned with disappeared, This theft added another layer of complexity to the mystery of Tutankhamun's death, shifting the focus from the cause of death to the question of what happened to these missing parts of his burial ensemble. Zahi Hawass, a renowned Egyptian archaeologist, brought new insights into the debate over Tutankhamun's death. Using modern technology, he analyzed Tutankhamun's remains, Hawass and his team sought confirmation of their theory that the pharaoh did not perish crushed by a chariot but died from a different type of accident. This approach represented a shift from previous theories and utilized modern scientific methods to investigate the ancient mystery. Hawass suspected that Tutankhamun's demise occurred due to a leg fracture that became infected. In an interview with the Daily Star in November 2019, he explained that the fracture in Tutankhamun's left leg likely occurred several days before his death, The key to this theory was confirming that the injury led to a lethal infection, aligning with the idea of a random rather than a violent death. Modern technology was central to Hawass' approach and provided the means to determine if an infection had occurred. If an infection were found at the fracture site, it would support the theory that Tutankhamun died from complications following a random injury, possibly in a chariot incident, This investigative line represented a significant advancement in understanding Tutankhamun's cause of death, moving away from speculation toward a more evidence-based analysis. Beyond the cause of death, updated technology offered the potential to paint a more comprehensive picture of Tutankhamun's health condition. Hawass hinted that new DNA analysis techniques could reveal the full spectrum of genetic diseases the young king might have suffered from, Common assumptions about Tutankhamun's health issues like clubfoot, an elongated skull, and malaria could be confirmed or debunked through these advanced studies, offering a clearer understanding of his physical state and the challenges he faced. Despite some speculations about a more sinister cause of death, Hawass dismissed the idea that Tutankhamun's broken leg was the result of foul play. The irregular nature of the fracture led some to believe it was intentionally inflicted, but Hawass attributed it to the young king's lifestyle and hobbies, not to murder, This perspective refocused the discussion on more likely scenarios of a random injury or illness and away from theories of conspiracy or regicide of the young king. Zahi Hawass, a well-known Egyptologist, offered insights into King Tutankhamun's life and portrayed him as a young, active boy who enjoyed nature. Hawass described Tutankhamun's life in his palace in Memphis and emphasized the young king's preference for hunting wild animals in the Valley of the Gazelles, This area between the Valley of the Sphinx and Saqqara was a natural habitat for wildlife and provided a royal hunting ground. This representation challenges the common perception of Tutankhamun as fragile and sickly, presenting him instead as someone who engaged in physical and vigorous activities typical of a young pharaoh. Hawass's revelations about Tutankhamun's lifestyle and interests marked a significant shift in the narrative surrounding the young pharaoh. Notably, Hawass had previously expressed skepticism about the use of DNA tests on mummies, including Tutankhamun's, in earlier comments to the Associated Press, he initially doubted the ability of DNA tests to deliver significant discoveries. However, with the emergence of new evidence, Hawass's stance seemed to evolve, reflecting the ongoing advancements and revelations in Egyptology. Applying DNA tests to explore Tutankhamun opened a new dimension in understanding his life and lineage. These tests not only shed light on the likely cause of death but also helped clarify his family relationships, by analyzing Tutankhamun's DNA, scientists could establish connections to his ancestors and descendants, providing a more complete picture of his genetic heritage. This breakthrough was crucial in unraveling the secrets of his lineage and understanding the genetic factors that may have influenced his health. Contrary to some artistic depictions of Tutankhamun showing him with feminine features and an elongated skull, DNA analysis has revealed a different reality. Genetic evidence shows that the pharaoh did not possess physical characteristics that align with those artistic representations, instead, these depictions are now understood as more reflective of the artistic conventions of the time, rather than accurate representations of Tutankhamun's physical appearance. Despite Hawas's confidence in his theory of Tutankhamun's cause of death, a definitive confirmation remained pending. In an interview with the Daily Express in 2019, Hawass expected genetic tests to provide clear answers by 2020, he expressed optimism that the following year would bring a conclusive revelation about Tutankhamun's death. However, this timeline proved to be overly optimistic, as the mystery surrounding the young king's death continued to puzzle experts. By 2023, King Tutankhamun's death remained a subject of debate and speculation. Despite extensive investigations and the debunking of numerous theories, a definitive explanation had not been found, however, forensic Egyptologist Sophia Aziz put forward a new, surprisingly simple theory. She speculated that Tutankhamun's death could have resulted from typical adolescent behavior, the reckless driving of a chariot, possibly under the influence of alcohol. Aziz's theory centered on an analysis of the contents of Tutankhamun's tomb, particularly the presence of various wines and chariots. She suggested that Tutankhamun, behaving like a typical teenager, might have imbibed alcohol and subsequently driven a chariot at high speed, leading to a fatal accident, This hypothesis presents a more commonplace, albeit tragic, explanation for the young pharaoh's death, depicting it as a consequence of adolescent recklessness rather than as a complex medical or criminal scenario. Additionally, Aziz challenged long-standing assumptions about Tutankhamun's health issues, particularly the notion that he had a clubfoot and facial deformities. She argued that the evidence suggested Tutankhamun was more active and physically capable than previously thought. With over a century of speculation and a series of evolving theories, the mystery surrounding Tutankhamun's death continues to be a fascinating subject for scholars and the public, as forensic technologies progress, there remains hope that future research could definitively unravel the true story behind the death of Egypt's most famous young king.
Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.